These linebackers struck fear into the NFL. Imagine you break the huddle, jog to the line, and glance across to find a set of eyes that say it is about to be a long day. You can feel the clock in your head speed up. The run you loved on Thursday doesn't feel safe anymore, and every protection call sounds a little shaky. That is what true fear looks like in football, and linebackers have authored that feeling for decades. Before we start the countdown, a quick salute to a few honorable mentions who absolutely made ball carriers think twice. Honorable mentions. Von Miller brought closer energy with rare get off and bend, a two-time Super Bowl champion and a Super Bowl XL MVP who lived among the all-time sack leaders and forced constant chips and slides. Luke Kuechly scared offenses with his brain, a seven-time Pro Bowler and 2013 Defensive Player of the Year who called out plays before the snap and beat you to the spot. Bobby Wagner was inevitable, a Super Bowl XLVIII champion and perennial All-Pro who turned explosives into tackles for minimal gain and ran the show for a decade. Willie Lanier set the early standard, an 8-time Pro Bowler and Super Bowl IV champion who mixed range with force in the middle. Nitschke made the middle a toll road, a 5-time NFL champion with the Lombardi Packers whose presence alone changed decisions. Number 10, James Harrison. He should not have been here by the usual script. He went undrafted, got cut, and then kicked the door down with leverage, hand violence, and a motor that never cooled. Linemen talk about his bull rush like a slow-moving car crash that lifts you out of your cleats and marches you backward whether you want to go or not. He set edges like a wall, collapsed pockets with power, and finished with the kind of snap that put ball carriers on the ground right away. The resume is fearful in numbers. 2-time Super Bowl champion, 5 Pro Bowls, 2 first-team All-Pro selections, the 2008 Defensive Player of the Year, and a moment that lives in NFL mythology. The 100-yard pick six to end the first half of Super Bowl XLIII, a play that changed the game and cemented his legend. With Harrison on the field, coordinators spent Tuesday reworking protections and running backs practice chip drills on repeat. At number 9 is Brian Urlacher. He looked like a safety in a linebacker's frame, a rare blend of straight line speed, range, and force. In Chicago's Tampa 2, he sprinted to the deep middle, erased tight ends, chased down screens, and still arrived downhill with bad intentions when the run came. He turned passing lanes into traps and baited quarterbacks into throws that looked open until they were not. Urlacher's credentials matched the intimidation. He earned 8 Pro Bowls and 4 first-team All-Pro honors. He won Defensive Rookie of the Year in 2000 and Defensive Player of the Year in 2005. What made him scary was how often he knew what you wanted before the ball was snapped. When your middle linebacker can patrol the deep seam like a safety and then shorten a running back's stride with a thump, your whole playbook feels smaller. And number 8 is Jack Ham. He moved like a corner, diagnosed like a coach, and hit like a sledgehammer. On the steel curtain defenses, Ham became the quiet eraser on the edge, taking away flats, eliminating angle routes, and shutting down toss plays with perfect angles. Receivers learned that crossing his zone came with a price. Backs learned that the edge they thought they had would close in an instant. Ham stacked accolades that matched the film. 4 Super Bowl titles, 8 Pro Bowls, 6 first-team All-Pro selections, 32 career interceptions, an astounding number for a linebacker and proof of how complete his coverage game was. If the steel curtain was a wall, Jack Ham was the hinge that shut it tight and made sure nothing leaked. At number 7 is Junior Seau. He played like a live wire, energy in motion. He chased plays from impossible angles and arrived with a thud that took the air out of stadiums. Seau was the heartbeat of every defense he touched, communicating, shifting, and then detonating at the point of attack. You could hear him before you saw him, and you felt him before you could react. The resume is massive. 12 Pro Bowls, 6 first-team All-Pro honors, the 1990s All-Decade Team, a Hall of Fame jacket. He dragged the 1994 Chargers to a Super Bowl with relentless will and late in his career adapted his game to contribute for New England. The fear with Seau was that a routine play could explode into chaos in one step. He turned offenses jittery. Number 6, Derek Thomas. He turned the first step into a weapon. Tackles were in trouble before the ball moved because Thomas was already threatening the corner. Quarterbacks felt the internal clock speed up the second they saw 58 a line wide. He lived in the backfield on third down and turned protection plans into guesswork. The numbers tell you why coordinators lost sleep. 9 Pro Bowls, 3 first-team All-Pro selections, 126 and a half career sacks, the single-game sack record with 7, and a 20-sack season in 1990. Teams slid protection, chipped with tight ends, and kept backs in to help, and it still did not feel safe. Leaving him one-on-one was not a plan. It was a mistake you only made once. Number 5, Mike Singletary. He was the voice and the eyes of the 1985 Bears, the field general of the 46 defense. The stories about his stare exist for a reason. He read keys, set fronts, checked pressures, and then triggered downhill with a burst that ended plays before they could breathe. Inside runs felt like bad ideas. Tight splits felt like invitations to pain. Singletary's legacy rides with trophies and tape. He won Super Bowl XX, took home 2 Defensive Player of the Year awards, made 10 Pro Bowls, and earned 7 first-team All-Pro selections. The 46 defense overwhelmed protections, and Singletary was the organizer in the storm. He turned chaos into control, and control into punishment. When number 50 was in the middle, the offense always felt a step late. Number 4, Jack Lambert. He looked like a horror movie villain to ball carriers, lean and mean with a gap in his smile and zero fear in his approach. Lambert met guards in the hole, shook off fullbacks, and found backs with a snap that echoed. He did not just tackle, he finished. The middle felt like a trap because he played it that way. He backed up the aura with production. 4 Super Bowls, 9 Pro Bowls, 6 first-team All-Pro honors, Defensive Rookie of the Year in 1974, and Defensive Player of the Year in 1976. The Steelers needed an enforcer to match their physical identity, and Lambert gave them the edge every Sunday. Offenses turned away from his side, not because of a scheme note, but because he made running there feel like a bad life choice. Coming in at number 3, Ray Lewis. He married violence to precision. He diagnosed in a blink, split double teams, slipped blocks, and arrived with pop that flipped momentum in a heartbeat. He was not just the best player on some great defenses. He was the voice, the standard, and the conscience. He made everyone around him faster and more certain. The ledger is elite. 2-time Super Bowl champion, 13 Pro Bowls, 7 first-team All-Pro selections, 2 Defensive Player of the Year awards, a Super Bowl MVP. The 2000 Ravens allowed the fewest points in the 16-game era at the time, and everything flowed from the middle with 52. More than a decade later, he lifted another Lombardi with a different cast. Quarterbacks threw hot. Backs shortened their steps. Linemen changed calls. That is fear. Coming in at number 2, Dick Butkus. He is the original NFL nightmare at linebacker. He patrolled the middle with a cold stare and a style that turned the area between the tackles into a hazard zone. He tackled with force and intent, and he hunted the ball. Forced fumbles were not consistently tracked during much of his career, but the stories and film show how often he ripped the ball free and left offenses second-guessing their choices. Butkus earned 8 Pro Bowls and 5 first-team All-Pro selections, a gold jacket, and a place on the NFL 100 all-time team. He defined the template for the position. When people picture the classic middle linebacker, they see number 51. With him on the field, crossing routes were business decisions, and inside runs came with a warning label. He made physicality the standard and set the tone for generations. And finally, number 1, Lawrence Taylor. He is the most dominant defensive player ever, and he revolutionized the position. Taylor turned the edge into a place of panic. He had power, speed, and a sense for timing that made whole game plans feel fragile. He did not just win his matchup, he destroyed plays, and with them, the rhythm of an offense. The accolades matched the impact. 2-time Super Bowl champion, 10 Pro Bowls, 3-time Defensive Player of the Year, the 1986 NFL MVP with 20 and a half sacks. Offenses changed because of him. Tight ends chipped. Backs stayed in. Quarterbacks drifted away from his side. Teams adjusted their drop depths and launch points and even rethought the value of the right tackle position because one-on-one was not a plan. It was a hope. With LT on the field, every snap carried danger, and every drive could end with a single snap. This is the countdown of linebackers who truly struck fear into the NFL. Tell me who I missed, who was too high, who was too low, and which hit from these legends still lives in your mind. Drop your top 10 in the comments. Share the moment you knew one of these guys owned a game. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, Like the video and subscribe for more deep dives on the game's greatest.